Just make sure you're in frame. You can sit back down there. We are live, by the way, just so you know. I'm just getting everything in frame, everyone. This is our first... no, it wasn't. I didn't set a time, so we're actually good. So Sebastian's going to be back here. I should be in frame. You should be able to hear me. Oh, I don't know what I turned on, but I'm sure it's my fault. Okay. You want to have notes, you can.
Well, that's the big thing, I think, when going into a conversation. We're using just our words. Why can't we use other mediums to continue? It's really dumb if we want to limit ourselves to just the words, the language.
That's
especially when we're talking about things that strictly are written. What it comes down to is there's some big things people need to understand first before you want to talk about law.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in the way.
All right.
Yes, we're in the way.
Oh, in the way. Okay, we got to move cars here.
No, you're fine, It's not about the cars.
Oh.
It's not about the cars.
Oh.
You're more than fine. I told you already.
So anyways, this is Sebastian, not Heath. We're just going live here. We're just going to talk. I'm going to go ahead and try to, while I'm thinking about it, number one, see if I can get online here. Probably will be on Xfinity. Let me go ahead and I should be able to find myself. And this will give me the ability to see comments. I don't have comments yet. What am I signed in? Yeah, usually that's okay. Okay, so this will give us actually. Now, don't let this freak you out.
No, I don't give a shit.
No, the reason I say that is the delay will throw you off, and I'll make sure there's no sound so we can't hear anything. The only reason I keep this here is just in case a chat comes in, and then it's kind of nice if we can see the chat. And it will distract you though.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about law and thinking about law.
Well, first moving forward, I'm not going to claim to be an attorney, a lawyer, any of that crap. Not till later. Right now, this isn't legal advice. This isn't crap. I'm bullshitting. This is purely entertainment right now. This is what's got to be classified so I don't get in trouble. So nobody gets in trouble. So nobody is liable for things. I'm going to talk about certain words that are really important, and there's a lot of other words. There's going to be other attorneys and lawyers out there going to be like, oh, you're forgetting such and such things. I get it. I'm not trying to put a lot in someone's brain. They need to understand these ones first. So, liable. That's a really big one I want to get across. Liable. That it matters for a lot of reasons. We understand what it means to a point. It's not used right. We say it's your fault. Really, you're liable for it. Sometimes it can be someone's fault, but they're not liable for it. It's like if I were to put a toddler behind the wheel of a car, is it really liable for crashing into the wall? No, it's whoever fucking put that toddler there. It's the toddler's fault for crashing into it, but it's no longer liable. So a lot of times people get confused with liable and fault. I'll talk fast, and
that's good.
You're gonna get a lot of people who talk fast, and that's how they win. But the key little words really matter when you're dealing with law. There's different processes in law, and different steps matter to different things. When you're talking about in theory, like if there's two men bantering, being at certain steps in law doesn't matter. But when you're talking about poor people getting into the system, sure, they're just in booking or in processing, or you haven't found out that the person is even guilty or not yet. But during that process, they're gonna be behind bars unless they can have the money or the resources to get them outside to remove that liability, because everything's dealt with a dollar amount. So if you can get that dollar amount put down, well then you're free. And a lot of, this is where you're going to straw man stuff, and it's not really a theory. A lot of it's about the part of it which is true or false. Straw man is definitely true. Your social security and all that is definitely an account. You're definitely represented by that account number. You're definitely treated as a person, and in law, a person is not a human being. A person is like Coca-Cola. You choose to submit by carrying around these cards. You can even read on the back of the card. It clearly says it's not your property; it's someone else's property. Now, this isn't like an original theory by me. This is a lot of people believe strawman theory is being practiced to the fullest, and I believe it's being practiced by corporations to a certain level. They don't want us all dead. They don't even necessarily want to control us all. If they could convince us in our best nature it is to serve them, that would be awesome. If just somehow their life would be easier and they'd be in more control of the resources. Now, it's not even necessarily an evil thing. You got to think, if we all had nuclear bombs, is that necessarily a good thing? Now we're all free to go get it, so they got to somehow convince us to not necessarily go get it. That if you're trying to be Superman, you can't go around punching everyone. You got to necessarily stop everyone from getting nuclear bombs. So as I say these theories, I kind of do believe we are being controlled, but I don't necessarily think it's for a bad thing. I really think some people think they're smart. They're not that smart, but they're really good at blowing shit up. And that's kind of what it is. Metaphorically and literally, I think some people shouldn't be messing around with certain things before they really understand what they're messing around with. And other people, they're really good at winning an argument. I can win any argument, doesn't mean I'm right. And I'll prove that later on with liable and moving on to it. I'm still talking about liable, and this really matters when you're talking about Social Security cards. What makes you liable for debt? What makes you liable for, like when there's a gain on something? Well, a lot of times we were talking about taxes and how that was all set up. Taxes are a joke of a system. They shouldn't really even exist. There should never be a tax. There should be a fee. If you're being taxed, it means you're being pretty much forced to pay for something. A fee is something you agree to, and every time you could come back and agree to it. But every year I must pay my taxes or I'm going to die. Because see, when I make a statement like that, it's like saying if I jaywalk, I'm going to die. It's because I'm going to stand up to something I don't believe. And what's the process of that? If an officer tells me to stop jaywalking, but I see that I didn't create a crime, I didn't harm anyone, I didn't even slow down traffic, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm just going to keep doing my day. He's going to demand my attention. I'm going to refuse to give him my attention. Then I'm going to be in cuffs. I'm going to refuse to accept that that's right. At some point I have to bend and I have to change. The reason I don't do that, and you'll learn the law, is because you're then accepting. You're agreeing. There's a lot of ways to agree. All the time you're seeing, in paper contract, verbal contracts, sometimes contract by your actions or lack of action is really what it is. You have to say fight. It's like with, when people come into your property, you don't tell them to leave now, they start staying there and you allow it for a few days, and now you try and kick them out, and you see when a sheriff comes and says, well, actually, they're considered, resident, tenant, however they want to word it, you now have to go through eviction process. And that's always going to be like that because of your lack of action. It's about, so a lot of times you see these idiots, and I know what they're trying to do, but really shouldn't even have gotten to that situation. You see the idiots that are, not rolling down their window, not talking to officers, not wanting to show their driver's license, not wanting to do any of that crap. Each state has their own, loopholes, and they're trying to pull that crap. Really, you have to, that man, again, that's the man who thinks he's smart, who's really not that smart. Okay, the officer's pulling over. What are you, if you have something illegal in your car, you're already breaking laws, you're breaking statutes, you're breaking something, so really you are in the wrong. You're playing the game, so understand you're breaking the rules, deal with the consequences. Now, if you're like me and just don't want to be harassed by the fucking officer, well, really, you're going to waste more time doing that than just manipulating the motherfucker. Let him come in, bullshit him, tell him a lie, it doesn't fucking matter. Tell him, shit your pants. Shit your pants a little, and I guarantee you that officer's probably never going to pull you over again. Just let him know that you had a crap. Now, that's kind of crazy. Now, see, this is entertainment. This is entertainment. This is entertainment again. This is not an actual...
Your advice? This is legal advice. Crap your pants.
Yeah, no, this can't be that.
Good legal advice.
But what I'm saying is, unless you think that officer is, of an opposite color and now is racist, read the situation. If it's like that, yeah, you're screwed. You're fucked. Yeah, I would go the legal route. That then becomes your best route. But average white guy gets pulled over, I shouldn't be giving the officer a hard time. And actually, an example of this happened the other day. Me and my girlfriend were walking home, and we were probably drunk enough to where we could get in trouble if one of us was breathalyzed, but we weren't drunk. I mean, we were probably right at that, 3 shots with over 2-hour, span. It wasn't bad. We're coming home, and I knew these officers were following us because it was about a 2-mile walk. And throughout the whole 2 miles, the same officer kept flipping around, 100 feet in front of us and just watching us. And we were being a little loud. And he should have pulled us over a lot sooner because he didn't pull us over until we were about 400 feet away from our house. And at that point, I was mad, because we were 400 feet away from our house, we're around all of our neighbors. He decides to flip on the lights. I even tell him before the lights are on, I go, officer, I'm 400 feet away from my house, and I point to my house and I let him know I'm just right there. Please, can we go? And he says, no. well, right then and there, you know, a lot of guys know that I'm not doing anything wrong. He's gonna. Now the officer, we are always breaking a law. There's something we're doing, not a law. We're breaking some statute, some code, some fucking bullshit. We're breaking something that the city, county, or state is, you know, ordered. At that point, me and my girlfriend, technically, we're walking on the wrong side of the road. Technically, we weren't, but it's the officers. They're so untrained, so they can make these claims, but the badge will protect them because they're not a bad claim.
Let me back up. You were driving?
No, walking. We were walking.
Walking.
On the wrong side of the road, on this small private. It's a semi-private. It's not a private road, but we're in a small community, and you only go down this road if you live on this road. That's the only reason why you'd ever be on this road. And so I'm walking down my road, you know, to get to my house.
So what is the legal limit in terms of walking? In terms of drinking?
You have to be walking against the traffic. Now that's on main roads. That's supposed to be on main roads, and
you have to walk against traffic, not with traffic.
Yeah, against traffic. And we were walking with traffic, and I actually knew that. But the thing was, is we were 400 feet away from my house, and we were on the side of the road where my house happened to be. So he was in the wrong, and now that's the whole jaywalking. It's about the de facto versus de form of a law, the practice versus the theory. It
is a law that you have to.
It's
walk
not a law.
with.
It's some statute, code, some bullshit.
So depending on what state you're in, it's going to determine because does it
county,
change?
town, they all have their own things. Like Westport has a moratorium on marijuana, so you can't sell or have any marijuana products just in this Washington city. But right outside the city, it's all, you know, go anywhere else.
Yeah, but you can consume it in this city of Westport.
You're not supposed to. That's the moratorium, so you know weed nothing. But you know, it's about the practice versus the theory. As soon as the police are, you know, busting people for pot, we'd have a big uproar. See, that's that thing. It's the manipulation. Now, the city council understands that we really can't enforce the law to the T because is it worth it to us? And that worth then comes down to the dollar. And that's why I think the dollar's evil. We'll talk about that another time. I mean, but a lot of people think the dollar's evil. I just have a lot more intelligent reason why I think the dollar's evil. I think any form of currency where the government has any bit of control over it is evil. That's
so okay, so let's since you brought that up, just to be clarified. So what's your stance on Bitcoin?
I don't know. It's not been practiced enough, so it's all theory still. So I don't want to see some practice first. That's before I give an honest opinion on it.
All right, fair.
That's the big thing about it.
Okay.
But so the officers, he came over, and this is where I outsmarted the situation. Now I just didn't want to get breathalyzed. I knew that I'm with my girlfriend, and she's an amazing person who has this, you know, perfect record, does nothing wrong her whole life. So I definitely didn't want to get her in trouble that we're walking, you know, the attention's being brought. So I knew basically just start to listen to the officer, he's in the wrong. You have to stand your ground. You have to make a claim against. First off, you have to think about this officer. Don't get stupid. You got a lot of drunks think they're smart, or a lot of people who aren't criminals start to think like a criminal for the first time. And trust us, or trust me, the officer has thought like that 100 times. He deals with real criminals 100 times a day. So you're not going to outsmart him that way. You just have to go in truthfully. You have to go in with something. You'll get people that advise to lie, and maybe you're great at it. That's fine. But I advise going in with a truthful stance with some bullshit into it. Exaggerate the truth. That's the best thing you can do. In there, so I let the officer know. I started to get mad. You have to get mad with him. If you start to get docile, why are you getting docile? You're not doing anything wrong. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was ready to go to the back of a cop car for doing nothing wrong. Now, the only thing that was wrong was possible, and it was a coin flip. We were probably, 0.06 or 0.09, anywhere in between there. At 0.09 would have me in cuffs, drunk in public. So I'm letting him know that, this is bullshit. I'm mad. I told him that this is embarrassing. You got the police lights on. I go 400 feet away from my house. I go, this is a small community. The town talks. And he told me that, I'm crazy for thinking that. I go, oh, really? I go, how often do you pull over people, of my age that look like me, in this town? I go, we have a horrible heroin and meth problem. There's a town of 2,000 people. About 200 of them are easily, on hard drugs. So it's a 10% chance. And I go, I happen to be in a decent area. And I'm young. So either, I work my ass off or I sell drugs. And I happen to be selling marijuana. I used to own a dispensary. So when I'm getting pulled over late at night, 400 feet away from my house, and I have 2 cop cars now around because he calls in his backup, and they're, pacing around us, this doesn't look good. At least that's what I'm trying to tell. And it's true, but this is what I'm selling off. So I go, this is bullshit. My neighbor's going to see this. I go, I have to shit. I go, I'm about to piss my pants. I go, this is bullshit. I go, no, I don't, like I'm getting mad. My girlfriend, she was doing what was good, but also not good. She was playing the worried girlfriend, you know what I mean? Wanting me to not. She was getting mad that I was doing this. Well, it's perfect, because in a real situation where the guy's, doing nothing wrong, the girlfriend is going to want me to be docile, and I was just like, no, this is bullshit. I haven't done anything wrong. I made sure to reiterate, like I was having a conversation just with my girlfriend, but clearly he could hear, what I was saying. I go, this is bullshit, We're 400 feet away. You know, everyone's going to think we're on drugs now. I go, this is bullcrap. And he tried to say, you know, again, he tried to, you know, stand on the point that, you know, no. And I go, no, officer, you know, the de facto versus de form. I know what you're trying to say. I go, but in practice, I'm on that side of the street. I have to be here. You know, like, this is the side of the street I got to walk on to get home. You're saying I should cross where there isn't, you know, an easy place to cross? I cross where there's a stop sign. I go with things, you know, like, just start throwing out a bunch of bullshit at him. What I'm not saying is that I'm the king of mastery and I tricked him. What I did is I presented him with a very white collar problem. He can't deal with this. I was just an everyday white guy. I did seem belligerently drunk. He's getting into a fight. I handed over the IDs. He now sees that we have IDs. Done. Now in his head, he has to continue. What can I get them for? Is this worth my time? He's an everyday guy. Like, I'm a stoner right now, talking out my ass, and I have to think about, what do I really want to do? Do I really want to go through and look all these pages? Like, I have to weigh out my reward versus consequence. And I was just an everyday, you know, teen, 400 feet away from his house, who was ready to complain. That's why he didn't want to do anything further. We were gone. That's what it just takes. You just have to give a little bit of fuss. Now, there's going to be times where people say, oh, I put up a fight. I go, yeah, but did you put up the fight when you're actually in the right? I was like, had I gone breathalyzed or put in the back of the car, I might have gone drunk in public. That was what was going to happen, and that's what I was trying to avoid, because I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, especially when I'm only 400 feet away from my house. I already made the first 2 miles, you know, without a problem, so I was a little mad that I couldn't, you know, just keep going. But the officers, they're doing a job. They're doing a job. I just want to call them Nazis. I think all the officers are fucking Nazis. Even the nice ones that all day just get, you know, kitties out of the, you know, trees. There were Nazis who did nothing but serve food to other Nazis. There were Nazis who did nothing but do paperwork for other Nazis.
Yeah, I have a problem using Nazis as a term. Everyone's a Nazi if it boils down to it.
Yeah, see, and I'm not afraid to talk that way. See, I'm using the words how I think they should be used. That's the thing.
Well, but so you would argue that the officer is doing a job. You know, his job is to assess threats to the community.
No, I'm not even going that far. That's not why I made that statement. I'm making that statement just like a pizza delivery boy is doing his job.
Right.
If it is not worth the minimum wage for him to deliver this pizza in a very terrible neighborhood, he's not going to. He's going to quit the job. Or he's going to find a way to be able to do it. Maybe, let's just say I'm crazy. This isn't really how things happen, but let's say the pizza man's like, fuck it, I don't want to deliver it to that house. I'll just go sell to this lady at, you know, on the corner. I know she won't give me a tip, but it's totally fucking just worth the bullshit. You know? The person that never got their pizza is never going to call back. He knows. He's like, just fuck it. Like, this is how I'm just going to do it. Or some other scenario, you know, where a lady just knows, I don't want to deal with this customer, so I'll go deal with this customer. It's just, in their head, that's not the right way to practice. You're supposed to treat all customers the same way, but in their head, they made a decision to act outside of what they should do. Though they kind of are. You know, people support, like, oh, well, that's a drunk. He's an asshole all the time. Well, aren't you supposed to wait till every time he's an asshole, or just kick him out? You know what I mean? Not give him a lesser amount of service. And that's what police officers sometimes do. If I can prove to be enough of a hassle, he'll do less of his job.
Because the payoff is, well...
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're not a threat, to the community, I mean, don't you agree that if an officer knows what kind of threat you pose and what potential danger you could pose? Maybe, I mean, why do you think he pulled you over? Because you were drunk, or was there another reason?
Exactly, that's what I would like to know. I would want, even if I was drunk, I made the statement, I'm 400 feet away from my house. When did he become the detective to find out whether that was true or not? Why is he, like, what did he need to do? What the fuck was he doing? Now, I understand there's going to be where people say, well, the officers all the time are trying to help out. Like, let's say I was a drunk that wasn't making it to my house and I died because I fell on the road.
So what time of day was it?
Not even 12.
Midnight?
Yeah, not even midnight.
So it was dark?
Yeah, it was dark, but it wasn't bare. When we started our walk, it was dusty.
Did you have, like, could you be seen easily on the side of the road?
This is, yes. Have you seen how I dress? Yes, you could see me.
Well,
in this town,
the reason I ask is sometimes the drunks will get in the middle of the road and some unexpected our driver will knock into the bushes.
Agreed, but remember, we were on a private road off the side.
Yeah, but there's no lighting on this road. So, I mean, there's not good lighting on the street. So you could be walking as a dark thing and someone could hit you because you're not paying attention in his mind.
Agreed. But do you see how this is where he can manipulate the perspective to where I'm always in danger and he's always doing the right thing? And here's where the question then becomes, why is it he gets to? He didn't go to school for any psychology. He didn't go to school for any of this shit. And what I'm saying is the same ability we're giving that officer, all humans should have. I'm not saying that we should take away his ability necessarily. I'm saying everyone should get that ability. That's the thing.
Well,
that's what
you
makes it
could,
fair.
You could, as a pedestrian, you could slow your car down and say, "Hey, dude, man, I can't see you."
Okay, and then when the guy says I'm 400 feet away from my house, what
you
do I
say,
do?
"Oh, good, safe. You're safe. Okay, see you later." But
Okay,
yeah,
but that's
just
not what the
warning
officer
you.
did. That's not what the officer did.
Okay, so
So
he
that's
was.
that's the difference. That's the
Okay.
theory versus practice. He then decided I was lying, or decided that that's not good enough. Decided that I can't make it. You know, he made a choice right then and there to flick on his lights and change the whole situation. Now here's where people stand behind.
Well, he has to turn his lights to warn people.
I get it. Understand that there's consequences to every action. That's
Sure,
where people get to be really naive or really I think lame, because I think you're stupid when you get to be like, oh, you didn't think about the repercussions of that action. But when they turn on the lights, it's like, dude, I run to town and I'm down a dark road. People are gonna think I'm tweaker.
Let me give you an example. Dick and Jane are dead on the floor. How come?
Because life has to stop. I mean, where do you want to go?
No. The reason is these are how come scenarios. If I just tell you something like that, what's your first? You're like, okay, they're dead on the floor. Well, now if you, the whole point is you ask yes or no questions until you discover that Dick and Jane are fish and the cat knocked over the bowl that they were in. But what I'm saying is just a verbal description of a situation. Just it can be steered in any one direction. So what I was attempting to do was, okay, you weren't really describing the whole situation, you were describing your perspective of the situation, right? And the only thing I was trying to do was to give a more global view of what did it look like if I was standing in that room, if I was standing on the side of the road.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that perspective still doesn't give him any more right to do anything than I can. Why is it
he wasn't necessarily doing more than you? Did he give you a citation?
That's because I didn't want to do what I want. Like, I wanted to just keep walking. I had to stop there. I had to get bit by mosquitoes, thanks to his ass.
Okay.
No, well, it's as fair as that.
Okay, that's a fair.
I can't get mad at it because an officer was trying to save my life. Just thank you, officer. You're saving my life. Okay. Yeah, I'll take those mosquito bites. No, fuck it. You're saving my life just as much as anyone saves my life. That's the thing. I've never had I have had my life saved twice. Once it was when I was a little kid. I was out here on the jetty. I was being swept away. It wasn't a fucking officer watching there. There wasn't a lifeguard. It was some random naked Asian tourist jumped the fuck off, saved my ass. That's how. Day one. There's my exposure to superheroes. It ain't fucking guys and fucking bang bang bangs. It ain't none of that. Second time, somebody ripped off me and my buddies. They ripped us off at gunpoint. You know who went and got their stuff back? When we went to the officers, they said, can't prove it. Can't prove anything. We know exactly who did it. We know who did it. Can't prove anything. Can't prove anything. So I had to go to my big brother. Big brother goes, kicks down some doors, gets shit back, and breaks what he's got to do. Not the officers. Even though we swore about it. Our stuff's gone. Yep, you can't prove it though. Well, if you knew who we were, yeah, but we don't know who you are. But if you knew who they were, yeah, they obviously have a terrible record. They've obviously are bullies, and they probably did it. We believe you. You have a clean record. You guys are obviously 8 years younger. So, but this is how the law works. When you until something bad happens, a lot of people have something bad happen to them, and they not realize they didn't handle the situation right, and they don't have proof, and the officer will just be like, get fucked. You didn't have proof. You know what I mean? That's what sucks. And then they'll be like, now you'll know for next time. Because that's what law is. Because law doesn't let you back up and say, oh, okay, we'll go back. You didn't know, so we get to fix things. There's this account to fix things.
Ignorance to the law is no defense, and you could reverse that and say just because you don't know about the legal ramification doesn't mean that I'm responsible for telling you what they are. Which is
fucked up.
So how long did you spend outside?
Honestly, probably about 5 minutes. 5 minutes just standing there.
Did he give you a warning? Did he give you a closing state?
No. You don't want to get into that game because as soon as they start a process, they've got to finish a process.
Okay, but he has to notate the fact that he stopped you.
Yes.
I mean, he's required by law to notate
that's
the
bullshit.
fact.
I don't want to be on some fucking system. Why? I want to be paid for that information.
That's on his. Did you give him? Well, you gave him your ID. So
I had to.
He
told me I had to.
And if you didn't give him your ID, what would happen at that point?
I'd die.
What do you mean you'd die?
Well, what happens when I don't give him the ID? So at some point I have to submit. You're saying what happens if I don't submit over a simple action? Well, in theory, nothing really should happen. But you guys go up to an officer and when he asks for your ID, you tell him no, see what happens. Then he's going to try and forcibly get it. Then he's going to try and put you in cuffs. And at some point you're going to have to submit. But if you keep fighting this, they're going to kill you. That's what this step becomes. It's in the process. The process is they're gonna try and cuff you. You're gonna keep resisting.
When you say kill you, you're not figuratively saying kill you.
Literally, like you're gonna die. There's gonna be a bullet in the back of your fucking head.
Why?
Why? So you're resisting arrest. How are they gonna? Now I'm a 220-pound trained wrestler. I really don't think they're trained for 6 weeks. I've trained half my life, so I really think I'm gonna outmaneuver them enough to scare the shit out of them. I'm gonna
such that they would want to pull their gun.
Yes, exactly. And then I'm gonna continue to resist. Because I'm saying at some point I have to submit. If that's what you're saying, then yeah, I have to submit. That's what I had to do. So
you're saying
I submitted before the violence. That's what it was. I submitted with just showing the plastic. Remember, that's what I'm talking about. Like in theory, I should be able to just walk home. That's what I would love to do. In practice, though, I had to submit or I would be dead, or in jail, or yeah, there would be a consequence greater than me just getting mosquito bites. What I'm saying is, why did that even have to be a consequence? People are saying you just have to submit. That's what everyone's theory comes down to: is you must submit. Give me a reason. Like, I love anarchy when you just get to question. Let me question why you're my authority. I don't want to say that I shouldn't have authority. I really think that some people who really know about doctors, or the bullets that are flying killing people. I mean, there's a lot of people dying out there, and you get all these prissy fucking white people. It's normally either the prissy white people or the whitewashed, colored ones that are really jumping on something. Or you get the one, like, go to the hood and watch how, like, mad they really are at certain words. Go to any, and I don't mean any, so let me remove the word hood. Go to any poor area and watch how much they care about certain words. They care about it to a really stupid degree. You're going to see them practicing certain words that really matter. Like in our community, greenhorn matters. It is just as bad as the N-word in any of these other communities, that really get all offended about it. You call someone around here a greenhorn, the new fisherman, because everyone around here, they fish at some point. Your daddy's a fisherman, your uncle's a fisherman, or at least all your friends' daddies are fishermen, so you don't talk shit about fishermen. So everyone gets on a boat. You at least have to be able to go handle yourself, on deck and stuff. And if you get called a greenhorn, it's like fighting words. I mean, you go out to the bar, these fishing bars, call them a greenhorn, they're gonna fight you. They're gonna fight you right on the spot. They're not gonna ask questions. It's not even to joke about. Even the captains. Now that same philosophy applied to anything. So either we are different or we aren't. Either there is a separation of human beings or there isn't. And if there isn't a separation of human beings, you can just look at impoverished. Now, I know there's going to be different criteria, different dynamics, different things going on. But for the most part, you're just looking at people taking so much offense to a word that makes no sense.
It gets into identity politics, what you're talking about here. It's like if
bullshit.
You're identified as a greenhorn or you're identified, these are just non-visual things, experiential things. So in some sense, if, I have a big thing against black culture. Yes, I said it. What I'm against is the idea of black culture. Right.
Oh, okay. So
meaning like, why are we defining?
I mean, you're talking about I think saying faggot is really going to piss off people. You might want to start off with just saying that, like there shouldn't be Black History Month, like that whole thing.
Right. Well, and basically the concept is why are you segregating people?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's a form of segregation.
It was called the Million Man March, not the Million Black Man March.
Right.
That's what people got to realize.
Yeah. Yeah, and it shouldn't be about race, but then we have this thing with race because if we don't make it about race, it's
what the media does is it makes white people look like us, like what we're already speaking on behalf of black people. Now, I think it's preposterous, but it shouldn't be that preposterous. It's one of those things that you'll never see them showing the black guy who speaks on behalf of the white people. They do exist. There are actually black people out there who aren't playing the victim. But they don't want to show that. They really don't. And
they go out of their way not to show.
It's not easy to make money off that. That's what I'm saying by they. Anyone who's trying to make $1 can't make money off showing that.
Well, it's the victim. It's a victim narrative, and that's kind of a lot of stuff we deal with. But see, it's worse if you happen to be black and you don't play the victim. Then you get called an Uncle Tom. You get vilified. I mean, seriously vilified for not.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Not adhering to the narrative.
Yeah.
Your best bet is either shut up or you're not allowed to be in the conversation because God forbid we actually have a black guy negating the black narrative. So yeah, that's that's what we're dealing with. But now back to the legal, we're talking about law, and there's a narrative that goes in there. Like, for example, I mean, I think one of the problems I have, now you're going hard on police officers, and I think this is probably, I don't like that narrative. I'll just be upfront with you. And the reason I don't like the narrative is, one of the things is, like you pointed out, they are just us. There's nothing different. They have a specific job to do. The question is, what is the expectation that we should have?
So
So what would
if
your
they're just us, let's remove that. I don't hate officers. Now I hate all people who go out there and tell people what to do. I hate people who go out there and will willingly hurt people
So
when they won't be listened to.
what
When
would
someone
you
won't talk
want
to them,
that-
they'll hurt them.
So what would you want that officer to do? Let's say instead of
Nothing.
talking about. So you
So
just want him to drive by. So you don't.
No, I don't even want him driving by. Why does he get a special car? Why does he get lights and I can't have lights?
Okay.
No, I know. See, this is where you've got to
okay.
entertain me.
No, I am entertaining.
Because let's pretend we had a school.
I'm entertaining you.
I always
just saying,
thought about it. What if Westport? What if the bridge broke off there and then a landslide happened over in Tokeland?
So
and,
we should all have the same authority as a police officer.
Well,
Would
no.
that be
Hear this. This is again. Let's pretend Westport was blocked off and it was just Westport. We know we could feed ourselves. We've got a lot of fisheries. We know we could probably get our own water. It rains enough around here. I mean, we
have a water tower now. Okay.
And there's a lot of things we could do. We could sustain ourselves. Say it's like World War III and bombs blow off and we just got to sustain. We're not having troops come to us, but we're not getting supplies anymore. Westport would survive. Would we then be able to teach ourselves still? We do have an eclectic group of people out here that we could at least teach each other how to survive still. Like, it would be nice, if we had future generations, we'd survive to a certain level. Now, could we govern ourselves? Fuck yeah, why couldn't we? I think about a school. In a high school, if one boy started, being a bully, bullies exist in a TV show, but they don't exist to an unhealthy level. Not forever, at least. People put a stop to that. I don't remember any school where we allowed bullying over and over and over again when the kids were actually allowed to govern themselves. I remember friends would be like, no, fuck you, it's whatever our parents taught us. That's what would be governed.
So are you saying the Lord of the Flies scenario doesn't exist?
Well, it does, but there should have been some girls on the island. Watch how quickly that
it was
shit
a
changed.
boys' school.
I know. Watch what happens when a bunch of girls go on that island. I think the shit changes really quickly. The thing is people then get even darker and they think men are gonna enslave the women and just rape them. No, it's really not attractive to be just humping a woman that is wanting to kill herself. This courtship we believe in nature will still exist, and for that the women will rule us. To a degree, there might be times where men rule like this where it doesn't matter. It just sure as fucking gonna be Lord of Flies. Not every time. And because you believe in randomness, sometimes that will happen. That's what you just gotta deal with, is sometimes something bad happens. So do you buy a tire saying, if I ever get a fucking flat, I'm coming back to kill you? No, you accept that you might run over a nail and you might get a flat.
So let's look at the Walking Dead scenario. More current events, Do you think that's a legitimate,
No, because that's if the world's full of a bunch of idiots. If you're smart enough, I wouldn't need enemies. There were all these times of fighting. If I really just lost my mother and I just saw this crazy shit happen and I've got this guy that I've only known for about a year, why am I going to trust him more than the guy that I've known for a week? That's what you see in Walking Dead. That doesn't make, Rick has all these people. They've only known each other really for 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know how far they are into it now. And they meet someone else who actually has a better setup for them, and they seem just as crazy as they are, yet you choose your group. This amount of loyalty doesn't actually exist. Loyalty over survival, if your fear of survival, but as soon as you find somewhere else that survives a lot better, and they're nice people, you would go with them. You wouldn't just deal with Rick and be like, Rick, I'm ready to die with you. No, you'd be like, Rick, why are we ready to die? And if Rick can't give you a good reason why you're about to die, you'd be like, fuck you, Rick, I'm out of here. So what it is there's these shows that say that they're really deep into psychology, and they are for about 20 seconds. What they do is they give perspective for 20 seconds, and then they show these unrealistic things to get back to a nice perspective. It ain't gonna happen. I see what you're saying. That wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't. Why would it happen? Why wouldn't everyone just get smart and be like, fuck it, guys, we know the real problem are zombies. Let's get 10,000 of us and let's just start hacking the zombies. Let's make a wall and hack at zombies.
Well, I think, though, that the one thing I do like, whether you agree with where they're going with it, is I think those questions are fundamental to character, which is what we're talking about here.
See, again, this is where I
I'm not
disagree.
saying that's correct.
Well, what I'm saying is a lot of people watch a show and they say, ooh, I like the message it's building. That message didn't exist until they talked about it. That's what I'm claiming. And now it's in your guys' head. That's the power media has, is that they just talked about this beautiful message. Didn't fucking exist until they talked about it. Now you guys believe that this message is something that needed to be talked about.
No, I mean, okay.
Do dogs need to talk about, being nice to each other? I mean, dogs rape each other. Should they not rape each other anymore?
Well, the question is...
I'm not saying we should rape. We're smart enough to not. Let me just make that clear. But I'm saying it's about a philosophy at a time where, what's right.
Let's look at... Okay, so we have a society. Now, you have some claims about society in terms of how it goes. We're talking about a legal system. We're talking about how we organize ourselves.
Yeah.
You would want people to be more like everyone like a. Okay, I'm trying to look back at the authority of the police. Now,
So
you're an anarchist, would be fair to say.
Here's an analogy to say what I really want. I think the best way to have the best seed, like the best plant, is to take all the seeds, throw them in the dirt, give them a fair amount of, resources, and then whenever I get the biggest one, take those and try again. Take the biggest ones, grow seeds from them, try again. That's how you
selective breeding.
Okay, so if we're not all actually free, we're not actually seeing what DNA is the best. No, I don't want us to kill each other. What I want is us to all actually get the same amount of chance. What it is there isn't a fairness. If I'm not free to do what I want, but he's free to do what he wants, how do we know his genes are any better?
We have, and this is the thing about selective breeding. Selective breeding is already occurring.
Well, I'm not talking about this. So what I'm saying in the analogy is that someone's taking some seeds and lightly throwing them out, and other seeds are just being set on top of the soil to grow, and other ones are being buried 20 feet down. There's not a fairness to the seeds. Because if we're all the same, we're all born equal, then we're all just the seeds. But we're not given fair treatment. That's for fucking sure. And how do you ensure that? How do you ensure that?
Are we the same seed, though? Meaning,
no. Do you want to talk about eugenics? Are we all I'm just going by everyone's fair claim. I'm trying to play everyone's game of niceness.
Okay.
I'll play niceness till I die because I'd rather be nice when I die than mean. But the game of niceness is that we are all born the same. You can clearly find that
not
out.
necessarily. Though.
Well, no. So in the analogy of the seed thing, we're all born the same as to how same the seed is. We have to find out what that seed's going to grow up to. But we're all sperm at one point. Okay, yeah. And then at some point that sperm gets fucked up, and so we're born retarded babies. Whatever. But what I'm saying is, at some point we're all the same. You just have to, for the sake of the conversation. If you want to say we're not, well then what's your system? Because my system is a little bit easier if we just pretend we're all the same. If we pretend we're all the same, because listen, I know the problem you're about to talk about. There's a process to stop that. So if we're all just treated the same, at some point you can, I don't have to wait to see that seed bearing fruit to know that that's a fucked plant. So you can do something to deal with the fucked plants. So you can have a step in the process to identify how fucked we are. Now, obviously, if I have a seed and I didn't water for the first 10 months, there's no way that motherfucker is going to be a great plant. So if somebody, obviously, for the first 30 years of their life was put through some bullshit, I mean...
Well, the reason
they're bullshit.
Well, okay, so...
This is where I now talk about liability. This is where I want to talk about liability. This is why I want to talk... Why am I liable for your uncle and your aunt and everyone doing terrible things for you for the past 40 years? And I want to help all. If I can find out that me trying to help you for the next 6 months is going to do me good for the next 30 years of your life, then fine, I'll do it. But if I find out that I have to help you for 30 years, and I'm only going to get maybe a few weeks of you good scattered throughout the time that I can't even predict, and when you are good, it's not even going to do me any good, why? Doesn't that make you an enemy, or is that making me an idiot? It's defining them.
Well, that's a matter of maximizing resources, and that's where I don't even like talking about liability because of what is the ultimate goal of a legal system, right?
To find out who the fuck is liable for it.
Yeah, but what advantage? Okay, so this person is liable. What obligation should society have to that person? Meaning, it costs a lot of money to put someone in jail. It costs money to execute them. It costs money to try them in court. Whatever you want to do with that person, you're spending resources on a person if you want to apply a legal system to it. So, how would you design the legal system to be more efficient?
That's what I'm trying to say. Is we shouldn't have
a more efficient legal system.
We shouldn't have a legal system.
We should get rid of the laws.
Well.
Or should we have multiple legal systems and you subscribe to whichever legal system you want to subscribe to?
You'll have disputes still then you're going to have a legal system for the legal systems.
Yeah, you'll have to have that too.
Well, you will, and that's why I love law. So here's law among nations. This is dealing with nation versus nation, but here's our law. Here's Black's law. This is the dictionary, basically, for the words and in context how we use them. Liable, there's some certain words that I want to point out, I guess, real quickly. And this is ones you'll see a lot of straw man, they'll point out. Now, some big ones that people should look into are like legal cause, legal conclusion, legal cruelty, custody, legal death. Just look into why they always have the word legal before things, and then they'll have a second one without legal in it. Because it has a totally different meaning if you don't use the word legal.
Well, he's talking about the legal definition of words versus the generic.
No, I mean literally in this book, it will say legal law, and then I'll go look up law. And you got to understand,
What? Okay, so what's the difference between legal law and law?
Legal law is what is actually real.
Okay, and then what's law?
Oh.
You said legal law.
Yeah, I know.
Law.
I'll just pull up the verbatim. 1 second.
Okay. Because that's the thing. So, in my estimate, while you're looking that up, I think
law. Okay. That which is laid down, ordinated, and established, a rule of method according to which phenomena or actions coexist or follow each other on conditions prescribed by conditions of authority and by having binding legal force. United States Fidelity and Garanti, Colorado versus Gunther 281. And then it's going to give you the code case. In Old English, jurisprudence law is used in this is used to signify. I need some water. Signify an oath or privilege of being sworn, as in the phrase to wage one's law, to lose one's law. The term is also in opposition to fact, thus question of law are to be decided by the court, while it is the province of the jury to resolve the question of the fact. So right there it's saying that law is something that is only defined while you're dealing with it. Law doesn't exist. It only exists with the people. The people decide the law. It's an oath. It's a promise. This is the Old English version of it. Mm-hmm. Basically, we're saying, here's law. It exists. It's a rule. It's a game. It's like in jump rope. If you hit the rope, you're out. Someone else's turn. Well, what if someone says, that's what it's saying. Basically, law doesn't exist. If that person can argue to its jury, to the people around that, hey, I fell because, Tony threw a stick. Don't I get another try? People would agree, or they wouldn't. That's what law is. Law is not this thing that is that.
Well, okay.
Well, that's not what law is. No, law.
Okay.
No, legal law. Legal law. Legal law. Legal law. Legal law. Here's my legal law.
Well, jury nullification is one of those law versus legal law. Legally, lawyers can't argue for jury nullification, but juries can if they spontaneously decide to nullify the letter of the law.
No. So.
No?
I mean, what you're saying is true. So this is where I want to get into other words first. See, we shouldn't go there first. We should go. We got to go somewhere else first. You got to go into. Now we talk about what law has jurisdiction over. About minors. That's what I like to talk about. A minor. I want to talk about persons, people. So a people, a state. As a people of the state of New York, a nation in its collective and political capacity. That you want to be a people. A person is not what you think it is. In general usage, a person. Here we go. I.e., natural person, though by statute term may include a firm, labor organization, partnership, association, corporation, legal representation, trustee, trustees in bankruptcy, or receivers. All things to the National Labor Relationships Acts 2:1. Bankruptcy Act persons, including individuals, parts, nearship, and corporations, but not governmental units. So, all these things that we think are government aren't government. They're actually persons. We gotta understand that they're not government. They're just the persons that are working. What is government? That's when we'll talk about governments. But then, corporation. A corporation is a person within the meaning of equal protections and due to process of provisions of the United States, Allen versus Pavac. So here's where you get the naysayers to the people who talk about that. I say, we're all slaves, we're all, owned by the government,
okay.
We've agreed to it. Here's where people disagree. They say, no, a corporation is just being given equal rights. I say, by doing that, you have lessened our rights, and that's why that claim can be made. A lot of people say, no, it's not fair. What it is, they're just given more rights. It's like, no, we're given less rights. Is really what's happening by that action. A lot of people don't want to see it that way.
Well, here's... That's just short-lived, and anyways, but that's in case of a tsunami.
But we're only partway through for the definition of person.
but see, here's I want to back off a bit, because I think one of the problems I have. No, I hear what you're saying. When we're talking about law, we need to establish what we mean by law.
Yeah.
But here is what is it that we want to see? What is the ideal? And then how can we fit the pre-existing law, meaning our legal system, and how does our legal system doesn't achieve that? Can it achieve those goals? How do we shape those legal? So I think you can work it backwards. I mean, I don't think you need to start from the legal system and work towards your goal. I think you can start from a goal and then figure out what the rules would be to optimize that goal.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but here's where the scary parts get into. Basically, everything I've said is kind of like treason. The fact that I say I don't want law, I don't like our government. So I hear there's a lot of people who've tried what you're talking about. They don't exist anymore. Those ideas don't exist. Those movements, they get squashed out very quickly. The government is built around to change people's minds. See, this is where you go down. I don't want to sound crazy, but it's a crazy statement in itself. If you read these all, you see that there's no way to change this. This is someone was a genius, built an amazing system, and slowly more geniuses came along that also wanted to make sure this control was fucking for sure. You watch this. It's all built to keep control. It's built to keep this going. So what you have to do is use this to destroy it. That's the way you just have to be a better lawyer than them. That's the way, and you just have to have more patience and more time and more resources. That's how they win, is with the amount. So in practice, if I really wanted to fuck somebody over, like what law school doesn't teach you, is you're going to learn there's times of year where laws, it's kind of like in fishing, we have fishing seasons. Mm-hmm. They're just seasons of suing also. You're going to want, the process isn't like what you see on TV, one lawyer coming in and he does everything.
Right.
He's going to have paralegals, he's going to have people that, file a lot of his stuff, he might have a filing clerk, who knows what he's got under him. Or it's a large firm with multiple lawyers and they all have different jobs. Well, sometimes something very small and very simple won't make them any money, so they won't go into it. And that's how you got to find out how to take little wins here and there to build cases, because those case laws, right now they have enough case laws to build their dirty agenda, their agenda for dollar, their agenda for power. You want to create an agenda not based off that, you have to create little case laws based off that, because right now there's too much for them to win. And them is those who only do law for dollars, basically, and that's what law is. You got lawyers who want to make money. So if that's what the basis is off of, and that's what all the laws are written off of, you can't sue someone to just put them in jail. You have to have a dollar amount there. Now someone will go to jail, but there's got to be a dollar amount. Like when you go to court with things, you have to say what it's for. Now if they create a crime, there's a dollar amount attached with everything. Mm-hmm. There's a reason for that. Like they're chasing a certain dollar. So you're gonna it's easy to manipulate people because you do a lot of little things to get it. And that's what the law pretty much does. It makes us submit in all these little areas. We're submitting in all these little things. There isn't actually freedom here.
Right. Well, okay. I mean, I'm not worried about arguing for freedom. I agree with you. There's no freedom.
Well, you want to get to there by a pretty free way.
Well, again, so I want to go back to the goal setting. You're saying if I have a goal-mindedness and I then turn around and I say, well, how can I use the legal system to achieve my goals?
Yeah.
Right.
Because what it is, I don't think in the 100 years that we will be able to bring down law.
Well, I don't think so either, but I don't think it's necessary. Right? Meaning that if I build a secondary system, like what I would argue for is you say, okay, I know what the law is designed to do, but if I develop another programming language next to it.
Well, the law is just one medium of control.
Okay, agreed, but...
Well, just like how we came into this and I said I want to write some things down rather than just talk, because it's another medium. Well, remember, words are kind of just there for us to be able to understand things, It just perceive things better.
In terms of how it applies to reality.
Yeah, exactly. So there's also that with law, and psychology, like all these things, they're just a really good way of controlling us. They're a bunch of bullshit.
Well, bullshit or not, it's a question of goal setting, because I think a lot of times we get into...
Well, no. See, you're doing exactly what the first guy who created nuclear energy did. No. I know it can be made into a bomb, but it's not. It's like, I get it, but it's just the fact that it can be that easily. All it takes is just pretty much the intent of what I'm going to do with it.
Right.
So, the intent with this, I know what you guys are saying, it isn't bullcrap, but for the person who wants it to be a controlling item, it is that controlling item. Because you've allowed it to be. Because it has that use. It can be done that way. That's when I see people that want to be like, no, look, it isn't that in all these cases. I go, look, in all these cases, the knife just cut the carrot. It didn't slit the throat.
Right.
That doesn't mean a knife can't kill someone. That doesn't mean the knife isn't being used to kill someone.
Right.
So the law is being used to control people. There are many times where
Well, okay, we're not disagreeing with that. So
Okay.
I don't. If
Well-
I then go and say, well, okay, I understand this is a weapon, okay, and this is something that's used in all kinds of different ways, and then it's a question of how do you prevent it from being used as a weapon towards you by having your legal ducks in a row to make sure that you're in an area where it's hard to attack you.
law is such a big, complex system that no one human being can win by itself. It's easier to take someone down by yourself than it is to defend yourself. That's the thing about law.
Right.
That's how they win, is that conversion of energy. That's how they'll always win. It's easier to come after someone than it is to protect yourself.
Mhm.
And if you're always on the offensive, you'll rarely have to defend. Now, if you just have more resources than everyone, it's okay to defend also. You've got all the resources needed. Pretty much you always want to have like 10 good guys in a firm and one bad guy. So that one bad guy can always be on the attack. And finally when he fucks up, he's got 4 guys to defend him, while the other 6 can continue making the nut. That's needed to keep the ball rolling. Once he's clear, the bad guy does it again. You know, that's just the way of like looking at things. They've created a system to where if you want to be good, as long as there's even just a few more of us or just a few of us on this side, we're fine.
Well, I look at.
And because babies are born every day, that means
Okay.
there's somebody new to manipulate every day.
But I look at something. So I have another perspective. Why it's when I look at law, I say, well, law is there, but it's not something that I'm going to spend a lot of time worrying about.
Mhm.
Maybe I should, like have a lawyer, but you can also focus on what you want to accomplish. Now, Peter Diamandis is a guy that started a space tourism company for zero-G flights, and when he went to FAA to ask for permission to do these parabolic flights, FAA basically said no one's ever done it before, therefore you can't do it. And it's like, what? So a legal system designed to prevent innovation is dangerous in terms of us innovating, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, that's regulations that don't have a sense. It's more or less the crab pulling people back.
When really she's like, no, I can't make it without 300 million. So we have certain budget systems that are fucked up. So that's what definitely happens in our military and our police. All the times police, there's a lot of like. So my claim is, if we are gonna have police officers, they need to be better trained, higher paid, and they need to be dealt with. You know what I mean? That's a very stressful, terrible
People
job.
keep calling me.
But I don't think we need police officers pretty much at all.
That's probably, yeah, that's just me. Okay. Yeah, that's turned off the cellular data, causing me problems there. So,
Is that working good?
no, it's okay. I just changed some things around, but yeah, I'm thinking about legal, and I feel like it's an obstacle to use, not a people. I don't know what's the correct way to look at law, in terms of, it's unavoidable in the fact that it's how we organize society. It's a part of being fair. I mean, it's a part of the whole thing, but it's getting in the way of us fixing things that we'd like to see fixed.
Okay, so again, I guess we have to step back even further. What are the problems? Like, why are we so good? Aren't we like fucking up the earth? Isn't the earth just about to like be dead pretty soon? If that's so,
I don't believe that, but that's a matter of debate. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's a way of looking at. So I mean, those are
well,
questions.
we already know we've wiped out a bunch of species.
Okay,
Now,
so well, I mean,
see, see.
Well, okay. Well, here's one of the things that I look at in terms of species. Species have been wiped out throughout history.
Oh, yeah.
So it's yes, we are having an impact on the world, and I don't doubt that. I don't doubt climate change. I don't doubt these things. But we have to have, if we don't have a long-term perspective of where a trajectory can go, and see, I'm not like you, where I have this belief of secularity. I actually believe that you can actually skip off, that this is just a transition point for humans or life in general in terms of transitioning from biological to non-biological. So for me, I have a end game, meaning where does this all end up? you know, and those problems that will occur in the future are dependent upon how we deal with the problems today, how we, not necessarily how we physically deal with them, but how we organize ourselves to deal with problems in general.
Yeah.
Which is why conversation becomes more important. If we aren't capable of understanding the foundations of ideas, then we can't have constructive conversations.
There's assumption behind that.
There's a lot of assumptions, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, but so.
So where would you go with that?
I wouldn't go that way. What I would do is attack it like it's nature. I think nature has a really beautiful way of doing things, of allowing freedom and creation. People didn't come around saying, "Hey, fuck, how do we create the wheel?" One guy created the wheel. One guy decided that. Now,
probably not one guy. It was probably a couple of people, and it probably was created multiple times before. Well, just
I agree. So I agree with created multiple times before. But I'm saying that example of how it was created, it could have been created that way. In another instance, somewhere on the other side of the earth, a few hundred years later, could have been created a different way.
Right.
Original ideas aren't really that original.
They're just solving a specific type of problem.
Okay, nature did that. Nature created that.
Well, the problem created that, meaning the situation created the need to create.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem though to anyone but nature.
Well, it depends on how.
Helium don't give a fuck about it.
Who doesn't?
Helium. Elements don't care about it.
Right. No,
Math doesn't care about it.
Only informational beings care about it.
So nature. I mean the elements of nature.
All biological systems are information storing units.
Well, I mean, just even so, a CD doesn't care about the wheel. It doesn't care.
No.
It doesn't have an objective to survive or care unless you give it to it.
It has information potential.
But
if
it doesn't
you
care.
put it in, yes, but it does not have an algorithm for caring.
Well, all caring really is survival. It's just nature.
Right. Well, it's the attempt to survive.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, there are things we do for survival that maybe aren't that, like we assume that our survival matters so much.
Well,
what if we created a robot one day that is smarter in every way? It's our better, just not it's biological.
Right.
And then we found out a way to print data into some goo, and then we found out a way to have them print data goo, to be able to create their own goo data. And now they basically create their own biological things, and now they're better than us in every shape, way, and form. What happens then? Are we now slaves to them? But we're their creator. So is this a philosophy? We now have to just argue that we're better, so we're gonna have to waste resources. So
why do we need to be better?
Well, so it's not so. Again, this whole law thing. Then, law is about to be a fairness. There's a level of fairness. You're creating a standard of fairness.
Right.
I'm talking about the fairness here. There's no fairness anymore. You just so this whole law thing doesn't exist.
Okay.
I don't believe in fairness at that level. I don't believe in fairness as in rules that are created. This isn't real.
Okay.
This is only agreed upon. If in 400 years, so if today we ripped up all the law, we had a new system. Well, this didn't ever exist. This doesn't exist. It existed at one point because we agreed to it.
Well, we have it in writing. We have it in books. I mean, we have a physical.
But we don't have it in practice. That's all law really is the practice.
Practice of the law, not the letter of the law.
Exactly.
Necessarily.
So you then just got to ask yourself: are you trying to create a fair system or not? Like, what is fair? And I don't want a fair system.
Okay, what kind of system? You want a system that benefits whom?
I don't want a fair system. I want a compassion system. So when I got into marijuana, it wasn't for money. It wasn't for $1. It was I liked smoking that stuff, and I liked handing it out to people who needed it. And then quickly it answered questions. I saw that there was a lot of bullshit behind. Like it actually heals people. It de-stresses anyone. Anyone that's going through anything bad, if they're stressed out, less, they're gonna do better. Someone who can sleep more when they're sick and eat more when they're sick, that's just good, and that's what pot can do. It's not going to cure cancer. It's not going to cure tumors. And if it is, there's just not enough study to responsibly be saying that out loud. But I got into it because out of compassion. I didn't always win. Not every day did I come home with a pocket full of dollars. Some days I did. That's just what it was. And at some point it turned into, then marketing and all that and just bullshit. But the laws were even passed based on compassion. What it was is, some old ladies were saying, I've got some teenagers that want to grow me pot and I'm about to die. Like, why can't I smoke this shit? It's like, I want to try and live. Am I not allowed to try and live? And that's kind of like, yeah, the compassion will, allow these things. That's how marijuana started all out. It was out of compassion, allowing people to try what they wanted to.
Well,
So
okay.
that's the law system I want, is a compassion-based one, not a dollar-based one. We have a dollar-based law system. And until that can be, because I'm not wrong on that. That's where I'll argue, I'll intelligently argue that, but I want someone who can really understand law before you're arguing that, because it is totally a dollar-based system. Everything we do, you're liable based off the dollar. If I didn't cause a dollar, then I didn't cause a problem. The way you argue, if you were,
Since you have an overhead in this legal...
But my claim is that we've never had a system that works, and I don't have one that I know is going to work. My claim is that you can't have a theory knowing it's going to work, because it's a theory. You have to give it practice, and you have to give it enough practice and fair practice to know if it works or not. But once you give it that practice, you must evaluate. I love people who hire someone and then have quarterly or bi-weekly interviews with them to let them know how they're doing. Well, the same thing how you approach your laws. Have some interviews with the people. How's these laws doing? They're doing terrible. Fuck these laws. Get rid of them. It's time to restart. You created a law because you had a problem. So if the solution creates more problems or just as many problems, stop it, because you're gonna have
but
just
don't
as much
you have
loss.
to at some point establish what the goals are without having a set of criteria?
But the goals can change every day.
Well, okay, but
so that's why you can't.
But
so
you need a yardstick, don't you? You need something to measure by. I mean, just to say, well, how do you know it's working or not working? What are you trying to accomplish?
Exactly. You have to define that.
Right, and that one reason I come back to a monetary system is not because I'm not compassionate, but because I just want a yardstick. I want have something to measure by, just to say.
No. What you're doing is you're lazy. You want an overall universal measuring stick. What I say is, let's take the time to measure each stick each way, its own way. And if that's too hard and complicated for people, well, that's because you want to be lazy.
Well, I don't know that I want to be.
So
how do you measure compassion?
You don't. See, that's the thing, is you don't measure compassion.
And I have a problem with not being able to measure something because...
And see, that's the thing that people can get off. If I can't measure, I will kill you. Really? Because what I'm saying is, let's just stop measuring.
I'm just saying that if you can't measure, if you have no way to measure the impact of, and I can hear you saying you're being compassionate.
Well, give me an example why you have to have it.
Okay, my reasoning behind it is an argument of compassion would be, okay, you throw someone in jail and you punish them, right? And it costs you X amount of dollars. This person did harm to society of X amount of dollars. If you're paying more to punish this person...
See, you're talking about dollars. Is it? Again, it's not supposed to be about the dollar.
Okay, but let's take the dollar out. Yeah. In fact, we do take the dollar out.
Yeah.
I would disagree with you that we aren't taking the dollar, because we're saying, because we're being compassionate, we need to punish this person.
Well, no. See, you're not being logical to this. That's not how the court would hear it out. Once you remove the dollar, the court would say, so Tom, give me a crime, give me any crime, and I will,
murder.
Okay, murder. So Tom killed Jill. What are we going to do? Why did Tom kill Jill? Well, now the jury's got to hear out why. Why did he kill Jill?
Okay, he killed Jill because he didn't like Jill, and he saw her walking down the street and said, I don't like her. And shot her.
There's something wrong with this man. We're going to have to diagnose this man. We're going to have to look into this man. And maybe we're going to have to kill this man.
Okay.
I mean, that was an extreme case. That's an extreme consequence. If he,
Well, depending on the legal system, in terms of the way the legal system is set up now, it's very hard to kill someone, right? So that's not going to be a consequence. I mean, very few states will kill in the state of Washington.
No. We're changing everything. Remember, I'm saying we're switching the game. We're removing the dollar. It's also going to really change people how they think. Because again, why
Okay. So
you're telling see. I want to play a hypothetical game, but you're telling me I can't change certain rules. I'm saying no. I'm going to change the fucking rules.
Okay. So from a practical standpoint, you're like, this person's useless because he's going around shooting people.
Well, can anyone claim that he's not?
Right. No, I agree. But
if he has people defending him, then sure, that's part of the jury.
My defense for him would be, what value is it in the guy?
Why are you saying you deserve a second chance?
Okay, so
as little kids, I mean, because you don't get a second chance on murder. By the time you're 18, how many people have accidentally murdered? You don't. So you don't get a second chance. And there are randomness. The randomness of the ones that kill it too young, just, okay, goodbye. It happens. It's got to happen, and it's cruel and it's evil. But it's less evil than this whole system of manipulation, because the system we have now always have pieces of shit like me on top. Because it's an easy one to manipulate. But if you have a system that just can't be manipulated, You get one chance, bye-bye. Like, hey. Now, it could even be a 3-strike policy on certain things. But there's got to be a consequence. And we're talking about murder. Those are the ones that I don't think you need 3 strikes. I think you get 1 strike, you're gone. But, like, violence. Hey, man, here's a smaller punishment, middle punishment, higher punishment.
What's the punishment getting you? I mean, I guess compassion, because
each crime has its own punishment. See, that's what I hate about this is you can jaywalk, rape your kids, or not pay your taxes, and you're still going to jail. When I'm pretty sure if I jaywalk, I should not go to jail nor pay a fine. I should just be told stop doing that shit. Now, after an X amount of time, I just get hit by a car, and we see I've jaywalked 20 times. It's like, man, you're in trouble. You've jaywalked too much. Like, the car's not liable for hitting you.
I'm just trying to think of a scenario of compassion that it's really hard for me not to put a measuring stick on.
You
so
don't.
I'm trying.
Well, no. You're. Yes. Here's what you're not grasping is compassion can't be measured. It won't be.
What is compassion?
It's selfless.
But aren't we all selfish?
If you choose to be. So if I jump in front of a car to push a dog out of the way and I get hit by the car, why was I selfish? How was I selfish?
You were selfish because you didn't value the fact that your family would be very upset about you killing yourself.
No. That's selfish of my family saying that because I've left this earth that I've done them wrong.
So you value the dog more than your life. You value the dog's life more than your life.
No, I didn't put value. What I did is I did the right thing.
Why is that the right thing?
Why is it so? It's easily the wrong thing that dog didn't deserve to die. That dog didn't choose to die.
No, the dog doesn't deserve to die, nor did you deserve to die. So,
No. The dog did not choose to die.
So just because the dog has no choice, therefore,
I am now God. Now I get a choice. I had a choice to save it or not. I was within the physical realms of choice, so I chose to. The dog wasn't within physical realms of choosing to jump out of the way.
Was it a good choice?
What do you mean? Again, you're putting value. If you're talking
I'm trying to say, okay, you're saying compassion is unmeasurable, and I kind of agree with you that it's unmeasurable. Yeah. But then I'm trying to say, why is that better than a...
You don't do an action based off what's going to happen 10 seconds later. You do it because it's right. That dog could turn out to... No, listen, that dog could, after I push out of the way, 10 seconds later, go walk into a vat of atomic waste and become the next Godzilla and kill everyone. Sure, like, if that's the morbid way of looking at things people want to go about, is thinking about the bad before and the bad, after. So what's the point of law? What's the point of law? Is the point of law about forgiving? Do I do something thinking about what he did before and what he's going to do after? Because then isn't that why we're creating law? Is to remove all the bullshit of only looking at the situation. We're looking right at this isolated situation. We're trying to come up with a resolution to it. Okay. Well, isn't that what law is?
Well, okay. Let's take it. Let's look at the compassion still. I'm not quite through analyzing it.
Well, I know, because you're going into the theory, not the practice of. This is my argument against everyone. Everyone wants to get...
I am. Give me a chance to. So let's just take a broader view. Mm-hmm. Okay, my argument is everyone is selfish. The fact we're here is a selfish act of survival. We're no better or worse than any other life form on Earth. Okay, I'm not making the claim that we are. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not saying the dog doesn't have value. Doesn't.
No, I know.
We shouldn't be compassionate towards anything, and that maybe choosing what we should be compassionate about is a matter of choice. We have made a choice. So my argument in terms of the compassion would be, you have made choices throughout your life, okay, in terms of what to value. You have made commitments, and you have commitments to those things, whether it's to your job, it's to your mother. You've made choices, right? And you have a network of things that you've decided are things you're committed to, okay? So in that context, I can look at your behavior in terms of sacrificing your life, knowingly sacrificing your life for this dog, and I can say, look, by doing that, all these other commitments you had, you are devaluing those commitments by sacrificing your life. So so these things had you're devaluing them.
Why are you giving it? Why do they have any value? See, that's what I'm trying to say. Is
because you have made choices every choice has a value equation. Compassion is a value. You're making a value statement.
No. Value is just there so you can make sense of things. Why does everything have to make sense?
It doesn't, but we want it to make sense.
Okay, so listen. This is all.
Well, that's a legal thing of you.
I know, it's all premises off a want. I don't care about your wants. I'm saying, why does it have to be that way? If you literally know that you get to have the one beautiful thing I love is this insanity, not the craziness. I love the craziness, not the insanity. I love crazy in the fact that it isn't based off your value. It's based off compassion. You guys are the psychopaths. It has to be based off value. Why can't it just be based off what's right?
Well, but what is right?
Why is it so? So you're saying so
you have this. You say compassion. You say right.
What is time? You're talking about time, and you've already haven't we had the agreement that time doesn't really exist in the way we think it is. So you're talking about so at this time I'm letting down all these people. You're saying like that's me saying that nobody else can fill my void, and that's me knowing that I will die when the car hits me.
Actually, yeah, I can point to a specific person, and I said no one filled his void.
Okay.
When Carl died of the bowling alley, did anyone fill that void? No.
Just because nobody did doesn't mean nobody can.
No one did though.
Why did they need to though?
I would argue that the community lost a person that was of value. Entire lives changed because of his death.
But like things are always going to change. Are we trying to keep everything?
Things are going to change, but there was a trajectory. These were values that we all had.
You're playing off fears and wants. Fears and wants. You're afraid of the change is going to be worse.
It's an argument of saying that we can see the consequences of this person dying. Okay, we can trace it back to those things.
1 plus 1 does not equal 2 because they want it to. Like so do you want to either go off of a randomness or do you want to go off of factual? Like do you want to go binary like 1 plus 1, you know, like everything always equals? Well then we don't have to go off feelings.
There is information. And I would say we do go off of wants, and that from an ethical framework we should go off of a want. A want is a directionality that I want to see. So I want to see this direction.
But
why is that there? Well,
do centipedes? So does algae want anything?
It wants light. It wants nutrients. It's looking for nutrients. It's trying to fulfill itself through chemical reactions.
Okay.
It has wants.
Can you trick it though? Is there any other ways to trick it to want the wrong thing? Yeah, we know we can trick plants to want things it doesn't necessarily want. Like we can make plants overextend their roots by putting in certain things into the ground. You know what I mean? And that's bad. It did it, but then it killed itself.
Right. Well, I mean,
okay. So how do we identify?
Overeating.
No. So how do we identify your wants are worth shit?
Well, where do we start from? Is what I'm saying. You're saying start from compassion, but what is compassion? That's still a want.
It's the most prime.
You want compassion.
It's the most prime survival technique out there.
Yeah, but you want compassion.
No. Don't have to want it. In fact, I want a bunch of hookers. I don't want compassion. Did you not hear how I talk? I don't want this shit.
Okay.
But I'm practicing it.
So why is compassion better?
It's the most prime survival technique out there. It is the most.
Why is it? How do you come to that conclusion? Okay, go for it.
Well, compassion is an emotion. Now let's pretend we're amoebas. They don't necessarily feel these emotions. They don't have necessarily the same sensories. But amoebas want to protect each other, and they'd rather attack other non-amoeba things. And what it is so that's compassion. If we want to just help out life, you're gonna get there. If you want to make sure all life that's great to you, you help it out. As soon as it isn't great to you, don't help it out. That's it. That's simple. That's where you're talking about like the killing me. I compassionately can look at a murderer and say, well, you fucked up. Boom. That's not uncompassionate. That's like saying when I pull the weeds out of my garden. Is that not compassionate? I mean, I pulled the weeds for my strawberries. I had to kill some weeds. That's where people don't want to identify.
But okay. But let's do the weed thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're making a value judgment.
No.
You're valuing the weeds.
No, so do you believe in science? Do you believe in science?
Well, but science is based on measurement.
I believe it's okay because you have to record, and then a measurement helps that recording of data.
That's information.
Yes, it is information. I'm not saying that you.
I don't know how you avoid a measure.
When a baby looks out, does it measure?
Yes. It's constantly trying to associate things.
Okay. So standard of measurement, I guess, is what I'm mad at. Okay, yeah, sure, measurement. I get what you're saying there, but I'm saying the standard of measurement. Like measuring is an action. Yeah, we're doing it.
Here's why compassionate. There are people that would say to me, that compassion is actually a bad thing.
I know where they're talking about. That's if you pick and choose compassion, but if you're blindly compassionate, it's an amazing thing.
But I wouldn't agree with you. I would not agree with you because there's a cost to that.
What? No. So what? Tell me.
See, I do believe in cost, and I
So
believe
tell
you
me.
can't avoid
So what's the cost of it? Like what?
The cost is you have made commitments to society. Let's say you have commitments to a job, to whatever.
No, because you've only selfishly made commitments.
I don't care about selfishness.
Stop. Listen what you're saying. You're saying you're a 22-year-old who has made all these selfish commitments, and today you're going to throw away all those selfish commitments due to compassion. What I'm saying is, no. I made nothing but compassionate commitment. So up until this point, when they get thrown away, nobody's being let down because I told them at any point I die. What you're saying is a theory.
So
that's
I shouldn't.
wrong.
Well, okay. So I shouldn't make. So I shouldn't
make commitments.
I shouldn't have contracts. I shouldn't say, okay, I'm going to attempt to do this. I'm just going to live without any kind of expectations. No one should have expectations.
That's saying I shouldn't use info. I shouldn't be judging. Like I'm saying we should judge. We should be critical thinkers. We should all these things.
Okay.
We should be humans.
But I don't think you can avoid measurement. You're equating that you can avoid measurement. I don't think you can.
Well, the measurement of compassion, you can.
Okay, but how we measure?
You can
compassion?
measure it. So no, how do you measure on and off?
It's either on. Well,
so you're either compassionate or you're not.
Okay, so what is compassion? What are you turning on when you turn on compassion?
Selfless. You think you're just trying to make the survival of others.
Why is selfless better?
The survival of others.
I've never been in prison, so
anyone that's ever been in prison, you damn well know it's best to have everyone liking you than everyone hating you, and that's an obvious one. We're just saying high school. Is it best to survive in high school by having everyone hate you and you just every day come to school trying to just say fuck you, I don't want to be your friend, or by being the class clown, everyone loves you? How's it easier to survive in high school? How is it easier to survive?
Okay, now we're talking about strategies of survival.
Well, that's what yours came down to, was strategy behind value. Mine's strategy behind compassion.
Yeah, but
because of their experiences. So if you want to have something measurable, trust isn't measurable either. Not at least finite. Like this number you're screaming out for me. For compassion, trust is the same. So if you want to trust people based off of dollar value, trust people off of compassion. I'd rather trust people off compassion. All I'm saying is, yeah, it's a fucked system too. We're basing the base off of a different thing rather than my own survival. How about your own survival? Rather than being the superhero who found out how to fly off the planet himself, I'd rather be the superhero who put a baby in a pod to go fly. You know what I mean? I'd rather be Superman's dad than some other asshole. I forget the superheroes that dodge their planets.
Well, the reason I'm pushing on that is I think if I'm wrong about that you have to have a unit of measure, meaning, and I think I think
the unit would be more on and off. If you accept on and off,
but on and off is just a foundation for information, right?
So believe that maybe this is the foundation for how we need to do things. Compassion or non-compassionate, good or evil, on or off.
Yeah, but the problem I have with compassion is it's value laden, meaning it doesn't have. The reason I like an economic isn't because I don't want to be compassionate.
So you like on and off because it's either energy or no energy, right?
Right.
Okay, so compassion can either be thinking completely of everything but myself, or only thinking of myself.
But we can only be compassionate because in some way we are thinking about ourselves.
Meaning, why is
well, here's my argument.
Where's that statement based on?
Where's that coming from? Because I have to have information about that something else, right?
Sure, of course.
And that's based on the things I like and dislike. So I like strawberries. I don't like weeds.
Well, no. See that's not actually that compassionate. I am going to jump in front of a dog. A dog is exactly because of compassion.
Yeah, but why you choosing the dog and not the ant? The ant was there too.
No.
Push the car out of the way for the ant.
Yes, exactly. No. So also, if you want an analogy, I should also die for an ant. When a murderer comes up to me, I should wait until I'm dead before I call him a murderer and then try him. Yes, these are some crazy. The thing is, I'm claiming that I'm playing a game with 6 million psychopaths or 6 billion psychopaths, versus I'm the one psychopath among 6 billion. What it is no, you guys are willing to do everything based off the value of $1. You guys are willing to kill people. You guys are willing to stay alive because of $1. That you're willing to call yourself a murderer for a dollar.
I'm saying that the impact. The reason I came to an economic conclusion, and it wasn't because I couldn't define compassion. I needed something that I can define that is a liquidity that we can say. So, for example, the reason why you want to evaluate things in some sort of way, and if you have to use dollar amount, it's the easiest way to measure commitment.
It's really easy.
No. The ease, yes, but you don't want to make it complicated just to make it complicated.
Right? No. Why can't there just be a standard? So it's like saying we don't want to make breathing complicated. So even if you get born with no lungs, we'll give you some plastic lungs and we'll make shit work. Shouldn't there be a standard of like if you can't make it, then yeah, you're dead.
Right. Okay. So, and one way to do that is to measure the cost.
See, why does it have to be cost though?
Well, okay. The reason it has to be cost is because we can define it in terms of, you've heard the statement, time is money, right? Okay. In the same sense that energy is money, right? It's how much energy, how much resources have to be put in, and what's the payoff down the road. I mean, what is the long-term payoff?
Your system flip-flops. Your system flip-flops. Yes, you can.
How? We are selfish.
Why are we selfish?
Because we're here.
No, see, that these are just claims. They're unfounded.
Well, the claim is, okay, Richard Dawkins says, okay, what is existence? Why does life exist? Because it's selfish. It wants to reproduce. It wants to live on.
So?
Exactly. What's the problem with being selfish? Just acknowledging the fact that everyone's selfish.
Well, no.
Why would you want to be selfless?
Stop. See, going too far.
Okay.
If you're going to say so, understand what that means. Don't say, because what I'm saying is, it's about survival, right?
Right.
Okay, so the best way to survive is not to try to survive in your way. The best way of survival would to be compassionate. Would be to think about how can I make, it's ant colony. It's not thinking about the ant, it's thinking about how do I keep the colony alive. Even the last 4 bees, like have you ever seen where like the Japanese wasps come and they'll like buck up most bees, like most bees can't even penetrate them, so they like 4 Japanese hornets, they can come up and kill a whole nest. Even the last 4 bees will come out trying to kill, knowing that they just killed 995 bees. We're the last 5 guys out there out of the 1,000, and we're probably gonna die too. Okay, but there's a chance that they win. There is a chance, and if they kill the one, the colony can rebuild again. But if those bees were selfless and wanted to live for another few days, they could run off and go somewhere else and collect and then eventually die.
Well, that's a strategy again. I can't. That's
no. So you just tell me in nature. So what I'm saying is the practice of this human way we've been going now for this last few hundred years. Show me in nature how that works. I don't see in nature. So, or what's really happening is we're doing exactly what you're saying, but there's a few people on top controlling us, because that would be the best survival. But if you really want to survive, it's not this, I need to survive and not give you a chance. If you go look at, there's this high school in Compton, I'm forgetting the name of them, but they're the ones that are reds, they get the dragons, they're Bompton territory, that means they're blood Compton territory, and they've had 4 famous people come out of there. Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, and this other athlete. Of the 4, none of them were in the valedictorians, and none of them were in the bottom. They're just all in the middle. They're all just middle of the pack students. Now, by your value, you would have never known that they'd also be 4 of the richest top recording artists. Okay, so your value doesn't know. You can't predict. There's this level of assumption and pretentiousness that we go into with these systems.
I agree that in a sense you cannot predict. You cannot predict the outcomes, but you can see a pattern in outcomes, and you can say
again another. That's where I say no.
Okay, no,
because stop.
Flocking
Listen.
behavior.
No. See, that's where that is extremely dangerous. That is the way to rule the world. If I wanted to manage different eras, different times. If I were to go in the 70s and say I can predict the next best star, you would have never seen rap coming. You would have been looking for all these disco queens. You would have been looking for all these rock stars. I understand. Because there's a
but I hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So we're not optimizing for knowing the future. Okay, we're not going to say we necessarily have to know how we're going to get there, but we can facilitate that from occurring. For example, having schools having interface, having the ability for them to emerge in the system that we create. Okay, so in a sense,
but they came from one of the worst high schools in America and then weren't anything special. What I'm saying is,
well,
it wasn't necessarily I'm talking at the school. What I'm talking about is how they're of the school. The only famous people had nothing to do with the top or bottom. What it is the system we're using to regulate and identify doesn't work. And if it doesn't work now, and there's a system that can ever there is no such thing as perfect, because if you believe in chaos, there just is no such thing as perfect. So you can't ever actually predict.
To a certain extent, you cannot predict. No.
Yes, exactly, and I know it extends to where we could predict. But what I'm saying is, this is we're trying to talk about law. A system of governing. It should not be a system that tries to predict it all. It should be a system that literally just tries to let people be free, because you can't predict. We've now agreed that you can't 100%. You can't outright predict. So that means you shouldn't outright govern.
Right.
But we do outright govern.
And I'm not going to necessarily agree that we should outright govern in the same way. But self-selection, meaning the individuals create the selection process.
I think people are free to try and get other people to do what they want. But I should not be born into someone's system. If I get to a level of consciousness and then I start to agree, that's fine. If I can get 100 people to come with me to go beat up someone, then fine. I got that. I'm free to do that. And if he's not
Are you free to do that? Should I...
Well, not in this law, but I'm saying in freedom. Like, if I can somehow convince 100 people to go end someone's life, okay.
Okay, but don't we... Yeah. No, I mean, that's really low level thinking, but...
Well, I'm just trying to say, people want to talk about, the extremes of my system. I'm like, okay, yeah, here's the extremes. Somebody might convince a few hundred people, maybe even a few thousand, but when you're at this level of there is no, set thing that you're born into, it means you're not identifying blindly with out of things. So no one's going to just wake up and be like, you know what, this guy's right, we're all American, let's go fight these Chinese, because they're not American. What it is you're going to have Sergio, and Sergio got a whole bunch of people, and Sergio pleaded his story, and he has a specific enemy now, too. You can't just blindly have an enemy. You can't just say the Chinese. You're going to be like, fucking Dong Wang over in China, and it's like, so what, we got to go fight the Chinese? No, we just got to go get Dong Wang. Dong Wang's who I'm all mad at. That will be that. You got to understand that this separation of no law does a lot more than what you think. Doesn't create this chaos that people want to talk about. In fact, it's this classification and this overrule that creates the chaos I talk about.
Well, see, then we're talking about emergent properties, because at some point you will have processes that will emerge.
But they can't last past the person, so they'll be gone soon too. You can argue against them.
Well, I would say not a lot of things last well beyond.
No, if the only rule out there is that we all are completely free, and we should. It's defined as that we should act towards compassion. Those are the only two things that are told. Everything else will be fine.
Well, you can say that we should be compassionate, but that doesn't mean it's without a measurable effect. I can still measure the effect of compassion.
But the action of measuring doesn't change things. That's what you're trying. Measurement is just to perceive.
I'm saying that if you're valuing a dog more than you're valuing your life.
No, I get you. What you're not hearing me saying is that measurement is just for perception. Whether you measure or not, it still exists. I mean, this will be a foot long whether I identify it is or not.
But okay, well, that's a measurement. But
I know, but I'm saying whether I measure or not, it will be. You're 6 foot, whether I put up a measurement of, look, you're 6 feet or not. I don't have to tell you you're 6 foot for you to be 6 foot. You are 6 foot or you're not 6 foot. That existence of that measurement does not change.
My fear is that the cognitive biases within humans for your natural, what you call natural being. Mm-hmm. Okay, one of my fears is that we won't learn the weaknesses of our evolutionary heritage. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are advantages to it, but they're not without costs, meaning we pay, and when I say cost, we pay in the sense of survival advantage. The reason we created systems of science, if you will, not reasons, but the advantages to those is that we can build complex systems such as 747s, space shuttles.
But they're not really that complicated.
They may not be that complicated, but how would it, if...
No, I agree that
How
no,
is
no,
a
so
pencil made?
Stop.
Right?
So here's what I'm saying is I agree government was needed. The reason we had the Great Space Race was because two governments were fighting against each other. Had Russia and America not been mad at each other, NASA would never gotten the funding they got. I agree that you need these evil people. You need these things to get this exploration, to gain this more knowledge, blah, blah, to grow.
Okay.
But here's the thing is, why is it growing so important? Why can't we all just be in fields dying? Because we're going to die no matter what. Like, here's this whole thing is, no, I don't want you dying at 40 doing influenza, on the field. I want you to die at 80 on the iron lung. It's like, why? Why do I have to be like...
Well, it's a matter of... Well, I mean, you could argue from an economic standpoint, which is an argument that you could make.
So you got to understand is, we have a game that is compassion and economically standard-based. At any point, I can argue that I'm a people and that this hurts my feelings and I can get what I want. Right then and there, that ruins the whole dollar thing. Just knowing at any point someone can do that.
I agree with you.
Okay, so...
But I'd say that's a bad thing. I'd say that's an unhealthy thing, that if someone can come in there and sabotage,
But why are we doing all this then? Why are we...
Because we have an end, because we...
No, Mark, why are we trying to get to your end goal? What... Are we doing it for human needs, human selfish wants? So when a human can selfishly argue that it's selfish, it hurts his feelings.
There is a point at which, yes.
So this hurts my feelings. Don't do this anymore. So do you hear what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand what they're saying. I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. You're saying it's all due to selfish, but I'm not allowed to be selfish now.
Yeah, you can be selfish. No, I'm not, but I'm not saying that you can't be selfish.
Your standard of selfish is better than my standard of selfish sometimes. Your standard of selfish measurement is better than my standard of selfish measurement, and that's
as long as you that it's a measurement though. If you say,
well, no, but here's the thing: there's no universal selfish measurement, because to that it's their own experiences. But compassion is an on and off thing. It's about everyone else. It is not about you. It is about everyone else. Anything else. Doesn't matter. Stop. I know you have your question. It doesn't matter. Anyone or anything else, that's what it's for.
I don't know if I agree with that.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it's a lot easier. Like, your measurement, you see how, like, I kind of... you gotta admit, there's a little bit of a hole, like, I poked there to make you see something at least that you understand what selfish is.
I'm looking at... What I'm looking at is okay. So
selfish is just as pointless as compassion. That's what I'm trying to show. And because I'm a human being who's awake and I want to get laid, I will pick compassion. You know what I mean? You can't just be out there like, I'm selfishly going to kill all these people because that's what I want. Sure, maybe I'm selfishly compassionate, but at the end of the day, they're both crazy, they both make no sense, and they're both based off a standard of measurement that can be changed at any point. Except for, it's easier to argue compassion because it's about anything else but the one, rather than the one versus anything else. Because when you have that standard, sometimes that something else could be worth more than you when you're being selfish. You know what I mean? It's like the tweaker out there killing Gandhi. It's like, dude, Gandhi should have survived, not you. You know what I mean? It's like, we only got one parachute left. It's going to Gandhi, not your tweaker ass. Okay, that's where being selfish can be argued against. But being selfless, you can just be like, no, it's about them. They still have a chance. It's okay then. It's like, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's okay.
So, well, it's a question of measure. Well, and when I say measurement, it's like, okay, well, how do you make a good decision? Or what would you say is a good decision? Yeah. In terms of the value you have, how do you determine what is a good compassionate decision versus a bad compassionate decision? Do you agree there is good and bad decisions?
No.
So it's just random.
I mean, that's taken out of context. But yeah, there is good and there is bad decisions, but for the most part, no. There can also just be nothing. Like, they could have no real repercussions. That's what sometimes people don't understand. They could be inert is the best way of looking at it.
Like, it could be an inert decision. It doesn't either go one way or the other.
Exactly. And that's what most decisions are. But then there could be bad and good. Yeah.
Right. Well, but my argument to even try to get to bad and good is, one is a constructive, meaning is going towards an end goal or attempting to go towards a goal, and the other is bad, is destructive. It's apparent from the only short term is pulling from that goal.
Yeah. So good and bad would be good, anything that's helping life, and bad would be anything that's destroying life.
Right. I mean, that's just kind of a joke, but...
And any life.
But so a surgery, I always like use surgeries because it's like you're knocking someone out and you're cutting them open and you're doing this and then you're putting them back together and you're basically bringing them to the brink of death and then you're bringing them back to life, right? Or so you look at the extreme of that, right? From your first impression, if you don't know what's going on, you're gonna think this person's trying to kill the other person or they're not doing anything good.
Well,
there's some ritual murder here going on.
So I believe that there should still be a dictionary amongst a lawless society. They're going to be, still defined to lawless. And what it be is you're still liable for that choice you made. If the doctor held you down and did that, that's then a whole different action. But if you and the doctor agree to this and you die in the end, well, you're free. So remember, it all comes down to freedom and you should make actions based off choices. Yeah, choices based off compassion. I mean, if you both compassionately decide, not everyone's perfect. So that's the thing. That's why you should strive for compassion. So
here's where I would allow you to have a different perspective on life. Okay, I would say, like you said, I get 100 people to agree with me. Yeah. Right. Then that's a collective that I have to reckon with in terms of I could kill you all because I'm afraid of you, or I could find in negotiations, meaning I could say, okay, because I have compassion for you and you want to have your freedoms and I value freedoms of your actions, I need to come to an agreement with you whereby you won't kill this person you set out to kill. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to say, look, I understand your freedom. How about this? He has to stay on this side of the fence and you get to stay on this side of the fence, and you can't interact. Is that enough freedom for you?
No, that's not freedom.
So that wouldn't...
You just told me what to do. That's not freedom.
Okay, I'm offering you as a thing. I won't resist you if you agree not to...
I know, but that's not freedom. That's a deal.
Yes, it's a negotiation. Yes.
Hey, that's not freedom.
So you would say negotiations are bad in general?
No, that one is though. That one you're telling me. Now, if we both agree, we both agree. It's about each person.
I'm asking,
like a fish. If you told a fish, if you stay in that water, I won't kill you. Okay. Well, but if you told a bird, stay in that water, I won't kill you.
The fish doesn't have a means by which to make.
But understand what you're asking is a very vague thing, and I'm giving you a very vague answer.
Okay.
But if you want to get more into the details, that's why you need these books. It's about the details. These books are for the details.
No, I understand. I understand. I guess I think you want to protect the idiots.
I don't want to protect the idiots. No. See, the thing is you put Albert Einstein's, a bunch of Albert Einsteins in the room, they'd all be able to entertain themselves. Like, things wouldn't be necessarily so wrong. You got a bunch of geniuses. But you put a bunch of, roided out idiots in a room, they're going to find disputes where it didn't need to be. Instead, a simple action could be made not to have that. Now, you put an Albert Einstein and 10 idiots in a room, Albert Einstein might have to kill one of those idiots. That's what I'm saying is, you don't have to, though. If Albert Einstein can find a way to just trick the idiots and not beat them up, that'll be that. But if Albert Einstein has to kill the idiots,
I don't know that intelligence is all that we're making it out to be, though. I mean, I would kind of hesitate with that.
No, I know. I agree. So again, let's pick step one of the system to start with and then play that game. So agree. I don't think intelligence should have to be based off of it. And that's why we should go again back to compassion. Compassion is this beautiful thing to go back to if you pick your standard rule and if you agree with me.
I'm not opposed to compassion. The reason to be compassionate is...
You don't like blind compassion.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm as
people love it's with the story of Job in the Bible. People love it when God gives you, but as soon as God takes away, you want to forsake God. God is the good and the bad. I'm sorry that you don't like that he's not just the good, but he's the good and the bad.
Okay.
He taketh just as quick as he giveth. Okay.
Right. Okay. That's...
So why do you forsake him when he takes away your children? You praised him when you got your children.
Well, I mean, that's the problem of evil in...
It's not evil. Evil is just a perspective based. If I've only eaten sand my whole life, fucking dog turds are going to be amazing. I've been eating nothing but sand my whole life. I've got something different.
It has some texture.
Exactly. It's different now. And that's what I'm trying to...
Okay, but... So
if you lost all your children... So if you the story of Job. Okay, so he lost all his children, lost all his land. That's still not the worst. Leprosy comes on, you know what I mean? It's like, it can only get worse.
Gets eaten by a whale, yeah. Okay.
It gets worse and worse, and then it finally gets better again. That's the whole thing of it.
It says, how can you appreciate the good without the bad, without appreciating the bad? I mean,
No. See, that's the Disney version of it. It's not necessarily appreciating; it's just dealing with it. This is.
Yeah.
This is. You know, people don't like that.
Version of it.
That's why I love Old English, because there's a lot of sentences like that people don't necessarily quite get. If I say it is, you know, what is? People are like, what do you mean, what? What is? You know, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, what is? You know, Old English means exactly.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
And see, this is where if I had to make one big statement, you know, the power statement to everything is, don't let people tell you that you're jumping around, or you're not making much sense, or you're jumping from context to context, or idea to idea, or just different subjects. They all have something to do with each other. I want to talk about law, but then I also want to talk about the growth of people and the development of people and the white matter and what talent is. And I also want to talk to you about the theory versus practice. And basically, here's the law and theory. Here's the shit they don't teach you about, in law school. And I want to teach you about, how the working practices of words are always changing. Like, this is the Living Webster's of 88 or something. And then I've got one of 98. And you'll see in 10 years how quickly words have changed dramatically. Then I want to talk about the laws of all of it, because everything we're talking about is really pretentious. It's pretty much just white people and what white people reign over. Then we start talking about the laws of other laws.
Well, but okay, we got to deal with the white person issue. That always is a buzzword.
I know. See, you are a white person if you get so pissed off by the whole white person thing.
Well, but I don't think that. No, I'm not pissed off about it. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. But here's the problem that I have with it is what does it have to do with the color of somebody's skin in terms of?
It does. It's just a namesake. I mean, so why do we call people people? You don't see when I use the word people. People are like, oh, I'm not a people. Why are you calling me a people? I'm a human being. It's like,
okay, whatever.
No, but you know, that same reaction happens to white people.
As long as you're, but why?
White people, I'm just talking about because right now the statistic happens to be. You always see the white guy that's not trying to offend anyone. He's like, hey, the true statistic happens to be that if you're black, you're more likely to kill someone. It just is what it is. And you don't see, and then the black people aren't supposed to get offended. Well, the white person thing is most people who are pieces of shit manipulators in control of the world right now seem to be white. So when I'm talking about bad people, I'm just going to say white people because the people I'm trying to identify with.
It's just a fuck with them.
Yeah. If you get so mad about it, then maybe
I'm not mad.
No, you're not. But I'm saying the people who seem to get so mad, maybe they are as evil as I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you just got mad about a name. I mean, we're telling black people not to get mad about nigger, but we're getting mad when we're being called white people.
Well, it's. I think.
I know what it does, and I know the bad, but you can't go outside killing rhinos because sometimes it could sit on ants. It's like you don't go out there defending what could happen bad.
Well,
you just gotta go out.
Well, but let's look at the percentage of Jews that are in particular problems. We could get even more,
And I believe, and people are gonna. This is where we get anti-Semitic, but I do believe the Zionist movement has a big part in our banking systems. I appreciate Hasidic Jews. I have a huge loving for Hasidic Jews, and I have one of my best friends happens to be a Zionist Jew. He just doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, a lot of people are a part of the system not knowing what they're doing.
Well,
but I believe the Zionist Jewish movement has not good to it all the way through. But so when I make that statement, I don't think any religion is good all the way through. So there we go. But I really do believe some of that anti-Semitic shit, and that's where it's like I just want people to talk to me about things. Like I'm not going out there going to be violent about my anti-Semitic views, but I do just want some questions to be answered about my anti-Semitic views.
Well, the thing I think you can look at is I mean, when somebody says you're just a Zionist, people have commented. I mean, I'm like, I'm fine, okay, I am, whatever. I'm supporting this particular idea, and origins have come from a Zionist perspective. But I'm actually in favor of such concepts of interest rate. I wasn't always the case, but I've really sat and thought about the values of having interest, and so I have supported that. And because of interest rates, because of the idea of interest, we have a banking system. Without that concept, the banking system would have never emerged.
This evil banking system.
I understand it's an evil banking system, and that's fine. And we can talk about it specifically, but just because the banking system itself is evil, there are concepts that aren't, in fact, evil in and of themselves. It's how they have been manipulated to support a specific. Right
there is the argument that I always hope my enemies will go into with, because I always win then. The thing you're saying is that it's not my fault that I created this gun. Appreciate what I created. Don't be mad that it can go out and kill people. No, like, aren't we should be held liable and responsible for everything we do, all of our actions.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so they created the banking system, and it can be used for evil. So boom, you're held responsible for that.
Okay, fine. But the thing is, what? Okay, then I want to put safeguards into that system such that it can't be used for that. So it has to have a fingerprint scanner on it. It has to have a GPS on it. It has to have all these. Using the gun as an example.
Well,
so making it a safer banking system, making it more.
or just don't make the gun.
But there's usefulness for the gun.
Okay, but so what are we doing with the gun? Is there other ways to get there? Maybe not be as easy, but there's other ways to get there. We survived before banks. That's the whole thing. We're talking about survival. Humans survived without banks.
But banks made the Industrial Revolution possible.
Of course, because it stole from others.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it.
No. So during that whole Industrial Revolution, you know why we started to slow down? Because we weren't colonizing new areas. When you colonize a new area, for about 5-6 decades, they're working at slave wages.
Well,
Okay.
Now
that everyone wants fair wages, look, the world's about to pop. Everyone wants to get paid the same.
Well,
rightfully so.
Well, we could also look at, one thing in, yeah. Well,
yeah. There's always wells. There's always the wells. There's not the comment onto what I have to say. That I know I'm right because no one will ever answer these questions.
I don't know that the world is going to pop. That I wouldn't.
Well, it's either going to pop or we're going to willingly just keep enslaving Africa.
We have to keep growing. That's one of the.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about interest.
Well, yeah, we have to keep growing. That's what interest forces you to do. It forces you to grow. And that's the evil part about it. And recognize that. That's why I'm like saying you don't.
If you couldn't actually own things, you can only lease things. There would then be a time limit to things. And if when you die, your things go back to a public trust, there'd be less waste. Right there. Like I like what people want to talk about, and I'll talk about what they want to talk about, and I'll play the game they want to play, and I'll make it way more efficient. But the thing is that people don't want to admit what they're going to lose. Either they want to have kids and they want to be selfish and want like their kids to be the best, have their kids have the best chance. Should your kids just have a fair chance? Like we could create a system where we all get a fair chance. No, but I worked so hard. Okay, I get it. We're now getting selfish. I, or me, because of me. So understand that that's the system. So when I put a gun to your head, just understand that it was selfish. You know what I mean? But now there's a non-selfish concept. Like, all I'm saying is, let's just pick a standard. Let's pick a standard. Let's pick something that isn't always changing to suit you. People think I'm the manipulator. I'm like, no, the game we play is about manipulation.
Right.
I'm just the one that's admitting I'm really good at it and that I'm going to do it all the time. You guys just don't want to admit that it's all selfish.
Me guys, you're picking on me as an individual.
Well, no, honestly, I think I'm in a boat all by myself because I don't see people that are as nihilist also, but also want to just... So some nihilists are like, I'm going to blow up the world because, why not? I'm the guy that's saying, I'm going to put a Band-Aid on the world because why not? So that's where it comes down to. Is, sure, I admit that I'm just as nihilist as everyone, but I'd rather fix it all. I don't know, I have more fun keeping things together than breaking things. Some people are just crazy and didn't get hugged enough as a kid. I don't know, but that's what it is.
Well, I think on that note, we're going to destroy the world. This is a good one-off to see. Then we can think about it.
And a big thing is I make comments that I know people take out of context. It's going to be easy to take 10 seconds of anything I said out of context. But the big thing is I'm ready for that challenge. Because in the beginning of this, it seems like I was going to go off base, and I am all over. But now we've kind of wound it down. I know how to say this, that we're playing a system where people want to say, like they use their words eloquently to say that they're doing something, but they're not actually doing that. They're lying to themselves. They're being just as selfish. They're being just as crazy, and they're changing their system when they want to further them. All systems are like that. And nobody has yet to present, even the system you talk about, admittedly, but you go into it admittedly, it's selfish. I go, well, why selfish then? Like, if we're going to be selfish, why selfish then?
Yeah, well, I mean, arguing the compassion point,
it's just as smart, and so we've come to basically...
Well, it's a strategy, though. That's the thing that I would ultimately say. It's a strategy.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
So, anyways, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Didn't even get to say the next one. We'll have to actually show the words, and I'll have that. Like that's where.
Well, I'm gonna have to think about this as we go forward because.